When you're on a mobile device, you are highly limited in the interactivity just compared to a computer. I am Caron Shahrestani. I'm the social media manager for Marin Open Studios, and some of you know me from the workshops I've done in person, as well as some of you have been interviewed by me for the video series that we've done for YouTube. These are going to be 30-minute sessions, but we'll have about 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the end, like I said, for Q&A and communication. So we have Zoom, this thing that we all knew about, or maybe kind of knew about, maybe you didn't. And now because of shelter in place, it has become this powerhouse of communication for people who would typically do business face-to-face. And so today's training is really just about how to maximize this platform, because in the same way that you all know that a phone conversation with a potential art commission client is easier to close when you are able to talk to that person. If you're doing an abstract for somebody, imagine being able to show them the work in progress, or kind of talk to them about your sculpture or your jewelry, that kind of thing. So there are a lot of valuable techniques that you can use on Zoom to sell your artwork, even if people can't meet you in person, to commune with other artists and connect and have like birthday parties and anniversaries and all the regular events that we would typically do in the real world, but that we're doing now digitally, just so that we can maintain that sense of community. And I know a lot of you probably are feeling a little overwhelmed with, like, all of a sudden you've got all these emails coming from these businesses that you haven't heard from in a while, or you didn't realize you're on so many newsletter email lists. And so sometimes it can be a little overwhelming, but definitely Zoom is one of those individual communications that I think everybody can benefit from in every field, but especially the arts, because this is a visual platform. One of the first things I wanted to do is just a basic overview of how to use it. I am the host today, so basically all I had to do in order to host a meeting is to log into a Zoom account or have the Zoom app on my computer or my device. So you all have some version of the Zoom app now on whichever device you're using. And when you log in, you should be able to see the option to schedule a meeting or to join a meeting. And one of the ways that you can do that is by creating an individual meeting ID. So right now you can see that when I open Zoom, and for instance, I opened our email that we all got that said reminder. And so this link I created when I scheduled this meeting. And so when you want to invite somebody to meet with you via Zoom, the best way I find to help them to log in is to create one of these links. And so when I click that link and it opens the Zoom browser or the Zoom, and then it says, would you like to open in Zoom US? If you all see where this mouse is. So I've already downloaded the app. And if you watch my little mouse go down to the bottom of the screen, this is the app at the bottom of my screen. So that is something that you all have enabled. When you log in, you usually have a preview screen that shows you what you look like. If you got a screen that said, here's what you look like before you join, raise your hand. Anybody? Did anybody else get that? A few people. Okay, so it kind of just depends on the device or the app, but it usually shows you what you look like. You can fix your hair, fix your teeth real quick, and it'll allow you to basically finesse your background. So right now you can see I have like a fabric background behind me. That's because I'm in my house and there's like a whole dining room and a kitchen and stuff back there, and I have family that I live with, so when they walk back and forth or do things, they know I'm on a meeting, but I don't want to restrict their movement. So getting something like this, which is just like a basic photo backdrop, I actually have a friend who did this exact same thing, and it was the exact same pattern, and it was a shower curtain.
Yeah.
Right? But whatever you can do to kind of simplify your background, looking at everybody's, we have 25 people. Looking at everybody's backgrounds right now, everybody looks pretty nice, pretty balanced for the most part. But I would say if you can have just like a basic blank wall and maybe like one piece of your art or one of your sculptures or a little bust with your jewelry on it. Something like that will be a point of interest, but the idea is not to have anything too distracting. You also want to make sure, if you're checking your visuals, is that you have light coming towards you from the front, not from the back, because when you're backlit, it can actually make the whole composition a lot darker. Sometimes if you can move the device you're on, you can put it in front of a window so that the light comes from behind the computer. I have lights, these are lights, to help light me up, but that's something that'll definitely help. So for instance, I don't know about anybody else, but I've been painting like crazy. I'm an artist myself. And so when I'm showing art to somebody, I find it's good to have bright lights because I can bring something in front and they can see details and it's not grainy. So let's say I'm talking to a client and they're just like, yeah, I've seen your like dog and cat portraits, but do you do landscapes? And I'll be like, 1 second, and I'll step off. And I'll be like, look at my landscape, right? You can take it back a little bit, show them how big it is. You can take it forward, show them little details. But that's one benefit to having brighter lights. Like I might look really shiny and like slightly unflattering right now, but that's part of why I have this extra lighting, is that I'm typically showing people my art if I'm talking to them about it. When you are logged in, after you've approved what you look like, you definitely want to make sure that you know kind of the room that you're stepping into as far as whether or not you should have your audio on. Because if there's going to be one person presenting like we have today, typically the attendees would be self-muted. And then when you want to talk, you're like, question, and I'd be like, yes, Joe Gren, and then he'd unmute himself and talk. So it's something where if you all were to hover, and I'm not sure which view you're on, but in your Zoom, oops, hi, Don McCartney, muting you. When you're in your Zoom window, everybody should see in the upper right corner, speaker view, or the option of looking at everybody's squares in the same size, right? So if you toggle between, press that in the little top corner. Is there anybody, raise your hand, that doesn't see the two different ways of viewing? Raise your hand, nobody? Okay, so Oshala, so when you go to the top of the corner, do you see a little button?
Yeah, I see the gallery view. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. 3 of them don't have any images. Okay. But that's all I see. And I see a little recording that's blinking, but I don't see anything else other than the images in the gallery.
Right, and so is there an icon for the gallery in your upper right corner that you can click?
There's an arrow going to the right. If I click on that, it gives me more people. If I go above that to go to gallery view,
I
see everybody.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you. So just to make sure that we're all on the same page, Melissa, were you the other one? Or was it Anne? Were you hi, Anne. Hi, Melissa. Was it you guys who weren't sure? Either of you who wasn't? Got it, Melissa?
Yeah, that was the same thing for me. I'm on my iPad and I could only see 9 at a time. So that right clicking does it. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, yeah. And so that's one thing to address. Oop, wait, yeah, one more person. Is it Iris?
Yeah, so what we're doing is either the speaker view or the gallery view, and that's it.
Perfect.
Okay,
yes. So just want to make sure, because this is really up to you, whether or not you want, again, if it's a presentation, you might just want the speaker to be showing the whole time. But if you want to look at everybody, like right now, there are a lot of fitness classes that are being hosted on Zoom. Maybe you want to see that everybody's doing the push-ups, or that everybody's doing, or if you're an artist, let's say all of us are having an art and wine night. Wouldn't that be a fun idea? We can all be drinking wine and have our canvases, and every once in a while you can turn to a little canvas and show. We can all see each other's progress. Like, you'd be like, this, good idea, yes. But that's the kind of thing that, maybe then you want to see everybody. And of course, if it's like a birthday party and there's a lot of people that you want to see, this is, I think the group view is the better view. When you're on a mobile device, you are highly limited in the interactivity just compared to a computer. So I'd say anytime you're invited to a Zoom event, or definitely if you're hosting a Zoom event, it is ideal to do it on a computer or a laptop compared to an iPad or a mobile phone, because it will limit how many people you can see at one time. It can be harder for you to stay on top of chat, which we'll talk about in a second. And it can, in general, you can actually have more connectivity issues with your smartphone, because it's also like monitoring your texts and receiving calls, and you know what I mean? It's a device that can sometimes overpower itself with its capabilities, whereas a computer has a much stronger engine, a much higher capacity in RAM, and it tends to be able to handle video conferencing so much better. One of the reasons that you want to be muted as an attendee at a presentation like this is that if I were to play some music so we can dance and free form, woo woo, the only way you guys would be able to clearly hear the music is if everybody is on mute. And that's because at any time, Zoom is actually waiting for you to talk or chime in. And if anybody's unmuted, it'll pick up like the bird outside your window or your neighbor slamming their door. It's very sensitive. So as an attendee, when someone's presenting, it can be distracting for them, but it can also compromise the streaming, if you will, of any audio or music or anything like that that they might be sharing. So if everybody, is there anybody, hi Georgette, if there's anybody who does not know how to mute and unmute, raise your hand. Anybody? Good. Oh, yep, let me check. Hi Kathleen.
Hi.
So go to, take your mouse over your face, whatever view you're in.
Oh, there is the mute button, right?
There you go. You want to mute yourself right now? That'd be awesome. And so that's awesome. I'm glad we have all that. When you want to chat, now this is interesting when you are either in a group dynamic, like an event, or in a speaker presentation. Sometimes you want to say something or chime in, but you don't actually want to do the mute and unmute thing, or you don't want to interrupt the person that's already talking, but you want to kind of ask a question or show your support. So right now, if you all look at the bottom, oh, hello, Georgette. So Georgette, I love that you just illustrated my point. Georgette meant to send a message to Joe Gren. She accidentally sent it to all of us, or maybe she did it on purpose because she's like one of my favorite social media students. You are. And so she meant to say, Joe, are you unmuted? And then I'm going to mute him right now. So Joe, I just muted you, but oh, hello. And so when you go to chat, how you find chat is whether you're mobile or on your computer. If you go down to the bottom of your screen, you should see a little icon that looks like a talking bubble. If everybody could go on there and say hi right now, just go to chat, HI, real quick. Let's see it. I want an explosion of hellos. Good, good, yes, yes, good, yes, good. So imagine if like you're in a Zoom situation where you want to just give someone support. Like let's say we were all having like a artist's emotional support group. Like I know painting is my real emotional support, but let's just say we were like crying and talking about the economy and stuff like that. You could just be like, I'm with you, Shiva, or I love you, Kay, or I'm here for you, right? Or if someone's like, I really have a problem. I need someone to deliver groceries to my grandmother. And you could go into chat and say, oh, I know the perfect person to deliver groceries, or, oh, I can help. So chat is a really great way to communicate with people. You all said hi to everyone. Now that you have done that, if you can all go to your chat window, and you'll see that when you want to type a new message, there should be a little drop-down menu right next to the message that says either everyone or a specific person. So if you could all, as a test, go to my name, Caron Shahrestani is my name, and say hi to me. So you want to select me as a person. Hi, Tracy. Good job, good job. You guys are awesome. So that's how you do it. What is important to know is first, as Georgette illustrated, when you first log in, the default is that it goes to everybody. So you might be like, oh my gosh, Kay, I'm so sorry about your dog dying. Oops, didn't mean to say that to everybody, you know? Or if now you've all messaged to me, if you're not paying attention when you do it, let's say after you messaged me, you wanted to say, goodbye, everybody. I got to go make dinner for my kids. See you later. And you if you were all to do that now and not change any settings, it would only go to me privately. So Zoom is basically by default keeping the chat communication as to the last action you took. So if the last thing you said was everyone, the next thing you'll say is everyone. If the last thing you said was to Shiva, it's only going to go to Shiva. So just keep that in mind. It's not a huge thing unless you say something embarrassing or private. But it'll prevent you from having to like make that mistake and really kind of, like I said, give people support or talk to someone individually. Let's say that you're at a presentation and you're totally bored, but you see someone on the screen that you've wanted to connect with for a while. It's kind of like passing notes in class back in school or texting someone during a board meeting. You're just like, so okay, we going out for drinks later? No, we're not, because it's shelter in place, but hey, Kay, want to Zoom and have drinks later? And she's like, sure. Like you're not distracting away from your speaker, but that really allows you to enter into a meeting or a party and then isolate a potential client, someone who you know might already be interested in your art, and be like, hey, were you still interested in that sculpture? Hey, I heard that your cat died. Were you looking for a memorial portrait? It allows you to really take advantage of that social situation without in any way pulling attention away from whoever else is speaking. So if you go to your face on the screen, and you'll see in the upper right corner for me, next to the mute button, there's a little triple dot or an ellipses, and that should give you other options of actions you can take on Zoom. One of them, mine says, mute my audio, stop video, pin video, spotlight video, etc. So the only reason I would stop video is, let's say that my husband just made me dinner and it's ready right now, and I'm not the speaker, and I still want to stay and keep listening, but I don't want to be like that one girl in the chat who's like eating while the person's talking. So you can just give yourself a private moment, and I'm going to do it right now, and it's going to be weird. But now you just see my beautiful face when I had longer hair. So you can pick a profile picture of yourself, preferably well lit and sharp, that can appear so that people know that you're still there and they know exactly which Kate Carlson you are because it's your picture. But it allows you to have a moment, or maybe you need to talk to your husband, or maybe your wife, husband, significant other, child, dog. Maybe you need to talk to somebody. Maybe you need to go to the bathroom, right? So don't be afraid to use stop video as an attendee, because I find that that allows you to, not be visually distracting in any way. Because sometimes you'll look at other people and it's like, where'd Caron go? I don't know. Did she step out? Is she still there? So sometimes it's better just to have your face there instead. And now,
okay, but I can't find myself again. So I unvideoed myself and now I'm no longer anywhere.
Right, so your name appeared instead, Oshala, and it'll usually be towards the bottom of the grid. So that's another thing to keep in mind. If you are in a group meeting and you have your video on, it's going to be higher up in the hierarchy of images that are shown to everybody else. If you're on the whole time and your face never comes up, your face, your representation is going to be at the bottom of the list. So again, we heard somebody's on their iPad and there's only 9 people they can see at one time, but there's 26 of us right now. So that means they have to like swipe to see everybody. And it's going to be like 3 or 4 swipes until they get to the people's names who aren't on video.
Caron.
Oh, how do you put a pic of yourself was Chris's question. So everybody go to your face. Oh, so Oshala, yay, hello, you're back. So everybody go to your face and go to the upper right corner and tap the triple dot ellipses. And one of those should say edit profile picture. Once our meeting is over, you log into the Zoom app and you can edit your profile picture and information there. Like right now you can see that my name is my full name, first and last name. But then we see for some of the people who aren't showing video right now, one of them is Caitlin. So she could have put her last name on there. She could capitalize the first letter of her first name. So you can change your whole profile when you log into Zoom when it's not just to go to a meeting. Because if you click the link that gave you for this event, that'll take you directly here. As soon as I end this meeting, you'll be able to go into Zoom as an app or a platform, and you just go to settings or profile view, and that's where you'll be able to upload a photo. One thing I will say is make sure that your Zoom app, whichever platform you're using, or I should say whichever device you're using, make sure that it's updated. Don't be afraid of that. Actually look for it and make sure you do it, because, and this is a really good thing to kind of end on, and then I'll take questions. There has been, if you guys haven't read the news, a very horrible rash of hackers logging into Zoom events uninvited and either showing pornographic or racist content to the whole viewership. If we're a bunch of artists who are, you know, mature in age, like we're like, okay, like what? But if you're, think of like children or like school Zoom events or things with teenagers, highly inappropriate stuff. So Zoom did recently do a major update to its app in order to try to prevent that from happening. They also now have the capability to create a password for an event. And so I think at this point, we've created this series before they made that decision. So I don't think anybody here is going to need a password to get into our workshop series. But if you ever want to limit the potential of an unwanted or unknown person potentially hacking into your event, your Zoom event, make sure that you either create a password for it, or Zoom can enable you to have a waiting room for a meeting. That means that you actually see the name of the person, and as the host, you can decide if they can come in. So sometimes from now on, you guys might be invited to a Zoom event and you're ready and you checked your makeup or your hair and you're looking good, and all of a sudden it's like you're waiting for the host to let you in. You're waiting for the host to approve you. That is just because of this recent rash of hackers that they really want to help control that. So keep that in mind as sometimes being an extra step or a slight delay. Like, so I tend to find it's good to try to show up a little early to a Zoom event if you can, which a lot of you did, for that reason. It might take you a moment if there's that one extra step to be let in and to show up on time. It's kind of like a security guard outside of the meeting room, right? You just got to account for that extra step. By a raise of hands, is there anybody who has a question they want to start with? Got a little Q&A time. Yes, Georgette, we'll start with you if you want to unmute yourself, please.
So my question is really about hosting, like you suggested, hosting a party. I've done a couple, but I noticed that people are waiting for me to lead them. And I'm just wondering if you have any techniques to get the group kind of moving on its own.
Sorry, you want you to lead them when you host a meeting, you mean?
They want me to lead them when I'm when I'm hosting, and I don't want to.
I mean, you can always have just like any event, Georgette, you can have a co-host. You can have someone who's not necessarily an MC, but someone who can get the ball rolling. I also find that you can do icebreakers. If it's a big enough event. And sometimes I find that if you have an itinerary that you put out first, which I'll probably develop for the lessons going forward, that you can just kind of follow that. You know what I mean? Give a couple minutes for people to show up late or tune in late, but then just be like, okay, so based off of what I told you we're talking about today. And so if it's a client and they have questions about your art, that's obviously going to guide it. But when you're talking about hosting a group, I'd say either have a co-host who can just like charismatically lead things along and then keep bringing positive direction and energy to you, or have a little itinerary that you follow so that even people who show up late know that they missed point number 1 and now we're on point number 3 and they have to catch up a little bit.
What's an icebreaker?
It's fun to ask everybody to just like on their device or whatever before they come to like bring a joke. Like it'd be like a really silly joke. You can also ask people to dress up, because we could all wear sparkles, or we could all wear really fun hats, or we can all wear really fun sunglasses. Right now, if you think about it, in the current shelter in place, we're really not able to dress up in our fabulous artsy duds the way that we usually do. I mean, I'm wearing a t-shirt with the Golden Girls on it. So if you have any kind of thematic thing for people to wear, and as you all see, it's only from the chest up, that's kind of fun. That's an icebreaker in itself, because you're like, Georgette, where did you get that hat, right? And then, oh, gotcha. Well, my friend's a milliner, and you two should connect. And so that's one way to kind of get the ball rolling, I guess, socially.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Iris?
Yeah, couple of things. We mentioned streaming. If you're the host, how would you stream music?
So I would either open up like YouTube and just pull up a video of music, or I would do it on iTunes. Again, depending on the device that you're using, if you have too many things open and or fighting for your Wi-Fi, it can compromise it. So if you're on YouTube, you're streaming from the internet and you're video conferencing on the internet. But if you're doing iTunes, or it's something that's already downloaded to your computer or your phone, that's another way to do it. But again, you kind of want to be like, okay, everybody, we're going to do a meditation with some like really nice gong music. Everybody mute yourselves. And then you as the host can see if anybody needs to be muted from your end.
Okay. And the other thing is, when you do your profile picture, how does it automatically come up? If you stop the video, will it show the profile automatically?
Let's try it. Go to your upper right corner, Iris, and tap that triple dot and hit stop video.
Okay. I didn't put a profile picture in that. So.
Right. So that's what I mean. That's how you can see when you're in a meeting live. That's how you can see what your image is and if it updated. Otherwise, I had someone ask, Jill, I guess, asked if it automatically updates if you change it while you're in a call. I'm not sure, because it, everybody's kind of versions of the app are a little bit different.
So what you're saying is, once I've got the profile in there, I just test it out like this to see if it comes up.
Yeah, totally. And if you think about it, like 2 seconds of your face, not appearing or whatnot is never a big disruption to a meeting. Yeah. And I'm sorry if there's background noise. I have a second phone that's going on. Any other questions? Yes, Tracy. Unmute yourself, please.
Hi. So I'm wondering, on Melissa's iPhone, on her box, she's like coming in front of her background picture. Does anyone see?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It was a confusing day. I got home really late. So I put my background picture. I'd never done that. So I did that. Right. I don't know how to put the profile picture in, but I just did that. And I'm, I went on the other way, see the hand going in and out. I put raise hand, but normally it's a little icon of a hand. Now it's really weird. So I don't know what that is.
Again, I'm going to lower your hand. So Tracy, she has enabled, Melissa's iPhone is a newer iPhone. That means that it has a processor that enables a virtual background. You can, when you're logging into a meeting and it's like, this is what you look like, do you approve? In the bottom right corner, you have a chance to change a virtual background. The only reason I didn't talk about that today is that, embarrassingly enough, the computer I'm working on right now is not updated enough to use that feature. And that's the case with a lot of different devices. Like if you don't have a brand new iPhone, it wouldn't allow you to do it. So that's one capability we didn't cover today, but maybe next month we can look at like more advanced Zoom concepts and kind of play around with that. And then I can figure out a way to do it for myself, so I'm not showing you something that I can't do on my own. But essentially, you can change your background to any photo you want, whether it's stock photos on the program or a photo you upload, and then it's really kind of just a live video editing function that kind of isolates where your face is and keeps it. So if Melissa were to start like moving her arms up and down, you wouldn't. Let's see, Melissa, do some.
It's really weird.
It looks
it's really weird.
It's very trippy, and part of that's an angle, and part of that is it's a phone camera, which we all know phone cameras are very sophisticated, but they're also slightly warped because they're trying to like sharpen and bright and color correct all at the same time. So that's a function that is available for newer models with the updated app. And Tracy, is that a bird on your head? I love that.
Yeah.
It's my cockatiel. I brought her to a kid's co-op a while ago, and when she climbed on my head, the kids are like, "You have a bird on your head." I was like, "No, and they're like, "No, because she's moving and she's got a hat."
I know. At first, I'm like, "Is that her hair? Is it a hat?" Like, Remind me to put a bird on my head next time we I probably
Interesting, right? There's my ice cream.
Okay, Oshala, yes.
Yeah, okay, 2 questions. So the virtual background, do we have a capability of being able to put that virtual background in while we're on the discussion? I mean, is there a place on here where
Yes.
we can do that? And where
Yeah,
is
but like she said, my computer can't do it. Like I'll take it off now. I'll cancel it. None.
I see.
Now it's just
right.
So yeah, I just did it.
If you could do it during the meeting, Oshala, it would be that triple dot in the upper right corner. And again, that's part of what I'm saying about updating the app. It's not just for the hacker concerns. It's that is a slightly newer function to be able to have a virtual background. And so if you update the app and you're on a newer phone or a newer computer, meaning that the operating system is updated to the newest version, then that's going to work. Dan Cassidy, that's a nice one. I like that. That's a nice background.
Okay, I had one more question.
Yes.
Is there any benefit to upgrading? Because my very first Zoom meeting, I completely did overkill. I went and bought a subscription, the $14.99 a month, and my colleague said, no, you didn't need to do that, but now I have a 30 days of that. Is there any benefit to having that plan versus the free plan?
I would just do the free plan unless you were planning on doing longer meetings. Like I think I'm in an unpaid account and I'm at about, 45-minute limit. So we're about to hit my max, but that's part of why we're having 30-minute meetings right now, is that, really just kind of practicing that brevity. But if you were doing like a 2-hour seminar on impressionism,
the most decadent cake you've ever seen.
Not sure whose audio that was. And so that's something where I don't usually do paid versions of things unless I absolutely need to. Oshala, most of the free ones are pretty sufficient. So next week, I will be talking to you about filming your art. That will include apps that you can use on your phone, editing programs that are both free and paid, as well as the strategies tried and true that I've used that have helped me to sell and commission or get commissioned artwork. I have had a lot of success this past month selling commissioned artwork, and a big part of it is my social media engagement, but the bigger part is time lapses of my videos. And if you don't know what a time lapse is, we'll get to that next week, but it's essentially a video capture of an image every however many seconds over many hours of time, so that even if you don't finish the painting in one session, that people are able to see the progression of your paint strokes. It works for sculpture, it works for drawing, works for everything. But I've had full paid, not discounted clients say, it's because of seeing that video of your process that I decided I wanted you to paint something for me. So video is very powerful for art. And as Shiva said in the beginning, I'll reiterate now, we are doing a campaign where we would want you to send a 50-second or 1-minute video to us to be used on the website as a virtual tour. More information on how to submit that is coming, but we will definitely be covering that next week. Essentially, if you have any questions about what we talked about today, or if you have questions in advance about Instagram or Facebook or video, or if you have things in next week's video training that you specifically want me to cover that you're wondering about, please email me those questions in advance. It could be right up till, about an hour before, and then I'll try to get to those. And I am happy to help you with Facebook, Instagram, video, YouTube, anything to help you guys digitally represent yourselves online and sell your artwork during this very dark, but creatively wonderful time. Am I right? Like, I have just been pouring my energy into art, and sometimes you just have to show that to people with a little bit of zhuzhing and finesse video magic for them to really get that, like, you can make them something amazing during this very difficult time and brighten and lighten and really improve their space as they just try not to look at screens so much, right? Let's get more art out in this unfortunate time to people who really want to not have to look at another Netflix series like Tiger King and would rather look at the multifaceted artwork that you've created. So thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful evening. I'm clapping for myself.
Thank you.
Yay. Thank you, Kay. Thank you, Shiva. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you,
email me with anything you need. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Create, and let's all get through this difficult time together by learning and loving the world with art.